How different is this
Love those.
to be the guy in the catbird suit there with Bean?
Yeah, I think it's unique. I know I've been saying it a lot, but it's unique because I'm getting to sit in these defensive meetings, and that's what's been a lot of fun. Is I understand what it's like going against these defensive backs, going against these defensive ends. Well, now getting to sit in the formal interviews and see kind of what makes them tick, the personalities. I'm so used to offensive line personalities, and now I'm getting to see the defensive line personalities in these interviews, and so it's been. You can come to the combine every year, and if you're in the same role, it just kind of feels the same. And this has kind of been a little different, and it's been unique, and I've enjoyed it.
Can you clarify for us now? Last year, that Aaron Cromer we were told he was kind of like the key guy in the run game coordination of it. You've kind of given Rob Boras that title. Can you tell us is there going to be a difference in how the run game gets coordinated from last year to how Rob's going to do this now?
Yeah, well, so look, I think everything's collaborative in our offense, right? Like, it's never been both run game, pass game, where only one person does it, and it's like, hey, here's our run game, here's our pass game, and this is what we're doing. So that's never been the approach. Aaron Cromer was such a key component to who we were. Like, he is an incredible football coach. He's an incredible football coach for every year that he's been coaching, and I leaned on him a lot. That's the obvious as a person, as a player. I know our players did. Rob Boras was hand in hand with him through it all, doing a lot of this stuff too. And so I've been with Pat Meyer. I know how Pat is with the run game. Our run game's always going to grow and evolve. Like that's a year-to-year thing, no matter what. And having some newness is going to be good in a sense of we did so many good things, but if we just think we can just do what we did last year and just put it up on the table again and say, hey, we're going to have the same success, we'll be fooling ourselves. And so we're going to have to grow it.
Hey, Joe, what have you found works for a coaching style with Josh?
I don't think there's one specific way. And I think the unique thing with Josh is he's such an elite football player, but he wants to be pushed. He wants to. He knows when he messes up. Like, he's not a guy that you can't get on, right? And so, but he's also a guy that he's very easy to talk to, right? And so I think a lot of times people are fearful of the great football players that think you might not be able to communicate to them away or hold them accountable to a certain approach. But Josh is not that. And Josh is very easy to I don't want to say he's easy to coach because he's such an elite football player that he does some stuff that it's like, that's not exactly how we were expecting it, and it might look really good in your guys' eyes, but we have to clean it up because the next time that doesn't go the same way, then we're saying, hey, bad job. But there's not one personality that I think fits him.
You were kind of leading into my follow-up question there, though, about the idea of coaching him hard when he needs it. Because he is a special player and he does special things that maybe don't fall within the scheme of necessarily what the play call or the offense was.
Yeah.
But at times that can also hurt you too.
Absolutely.
It hurt you in the Denver game, right? With the fumble at the end of the first half there. That's probably a situation where, as a coach, you look at that as maybe unacceptable for a player. So your comfort level in telling him when things are unacceptable and coaching him hard, where is that?
That's very. I mean, it's easy, and he can take it, right? Like, we have that relationship that when something's not how it needs to be, I can go to him right and say, like, we have to protect the. Like, he does not handle any of that in a negative way. And the reality is he understands it before it even needs to get said too. So he's not a guy that is only, like I said, like, we'll see the wow plays by Josh Allen, and we'll go in the meeting room the next day and tell him that that's not what we were looking for. Don't get me wrong, I don't want him to be a robot, right? I'm not a robot, so you got it. But it can't just be, hey, when good results happen, good job. When bad results happen, bad job. Like, when he's running, when the ball's not where it needs to be, and we don't fumble, we still got to correct him and hold him accountable to it. Not only when he fumbles, if that makes sense.
Hey Joe, what do you envision Greg Rousseau's role being in Jim's defense? I know he's more of a traditional 4-3 DE. Do you anticipate him being more of a 3-4 DE or like an outside linebacker type? What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's so many different variables that I think come with that, right? Like, I think it's a unique perspective. Like, what is a 4-3? What is a 3-4? Right? Like, defining the different type of DNs or outside linebackers. I think there's so much more that goes into it, and then some of it has to do with also tell me who the counterpart is with Greg, and the different type of skill sets, and as we balance it and kind of come together, and that's part of the process that we're going through now, and as we go into free agency, and there's a lot of different avenues that we can kind of go, but we know how great of a player he is and can be, and we continue to put him in positions where he can show the type of player that he is.
Do you want him to put on a little more weight at all? Or what what's the messaging?
No, I think the biggest thing for Greg is us trying to do what we can to try to get him in one-on-one situations, to get him in. I think it's to get him in a comfortable role where, hey, games and opportunities where he can go get after the quarterback, right?
Joe, the consensus on Terrell Bernard is that he might slide out, not be the middle linebacker anymore. You're going to need another inside guy. Would you prefer that to be a free agent veteran who's been there, done it, or get a guy in the draft, get him going day one, and be that green dot type of guy?
I think we're still in the process of figuring that out. Regardless of your green dot doesn't always have to be your Mike linebacker, right? Jim Leonard was a green dot guy playing safety sometimes, right? So, but we know the type of player that TB is, and where TB is going to be out on the football field, and his versatility gives us a lot of different avenues. I think anytime that we can use the draft to build it, right? You build through the draft, that makes life a lot easier, but. We're approaching every different avenue. If it's free agency, if it's draft, whatever we can do to get the best people on the field. Whether they might already be in our building, right? We have linebackers in Dorian that we feel really comfortable in, and but that's stuff that's all we're kind of in the process of figuring that all out.
The last couple of weeks, I'm sure it's been a lot of meetings, a lot of Jim getting into the tape of all the players that we have on the roster on defense. Is there somebody that he's kind of come to you and said, "Man, I'm really excited about how this piece is going to fit and what I want to do here"?
Yeah. Yes, there is. But here's what I'll say. There's a lot of pieces on our team that are exciting to him. There's a lot of guys that, again, this isn't some like this defense is you're gonna turn on and the NFL's gonna be like, what are they playing, right? But there's just the versatility with it, and there's some guys that might have been used in some roles in the past that, hey, we think that they can do some other things, but a lot of it is projections right now too, right? You got to go do it, right? And so that's where we're kind of at right now is figuring out what some of the base defense kind of looks like and moving some of the guys in some of those different roles and skill sets. But that's what's also exciting.
Joe, for the last 6 weeks, what you're looking for in terms of, or not what you're looking for, but how exactly you're going to deploy your defense.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
As you're saying, we're suggesting that you don't quite know exactly how you're going to deploy your defense.
Yeah.
Then how do you know what to ask these guys at the combine or to look at the film?
We have a prototype of exactly what we want, but if we don't have that, doesn't mean we're just going to do it. You know what I mean? Like if say we have no tight ends on a roster, we're going to be a 10 personnel team, right? We're not going to be like, well, these tight ends aren't good enough. We're still going to play with tight ends, right? So that's kind of what my kind of overall theme. Like we have an idea of what we want, and we think we have the pieces to do that, but we want to make sure that we're versatile in what we're doing in saying, hey, yeah, we want to be a 3-4, but if we don't have certain guys to fit those pieces, well, we might have a true inside linebacker playing outside. There's everything's on the table is what I mean as we kind of continue to build this, and but we have a clear vision for what we want and what we want it to look like. But in Buffalo, right, you saw what the weather was in the championship games that we played here. You saw what it was like in the Denver game. It's like we have to have an offense and defense that can be built to be able to play in those crazy conditions, right? And we got to be able to run the ball. We got to be able to stop the run. And so that at the forefront is what we're focusing on.
For the last 6 weeks, you've had a different role here. Has there anything that's been surprising or super cool to you about kind of what the last 6 weeks has been that you never really might have thought about or envisioned as a head coach in the NFL?
No, I think what's been unique is I've worked with a lot of the people in the building, but now I've had an opportunity. Like I said, it's year one, and so it's like let me figure out all of the systems in place downstairs, across player to player. Like I have to know how everything works, and I knew a lot of it already, but to the level of okay, but this is how I see this working now. It's been unique, and it's been a lot of exciting conversation. Excuse me. So that's been I know how the day-to-day stuff, but seeing the people embrace some of the changes.
You mentioned up there about Khalil and projecting. He can play inside and outside. When you're looking at prospects here at the receiver position, if they do something similar to what Khalil has done for you, does that affect how the evaluation process if you already think you have something on the roster that's similar, or do you want just good football players and kind of throw them out there and figure out a way to utilize them?
Yeah, I think there's a different type. There's a combination of answers to that. It's tell me rounds, tell me we don't want to eliminate any good football players, but there's also there's also skill sets when you build rooms that you don't want all the same person either. right? And they better be really dynamic of it, you know. So we don't eliminate any wideouts. We don't eliminate a tight end just because they run the same routes as Dalton. But is it at what point is that worth the investment in or something like that? Does that make sense? And so that's been our big message to our scouting department from a coaching perspective. Not that it's really any, but like, don't eliminate any guys. Let's talk through it. Let's try to find a fit, and as we kind of build this and kind of go from there.
What have you enjoyed about just spending more time around the whole process of building the defense? You know, whether that's the conversation with Jim about the types of players that he wants, or that whole establishing a vision. What have you enjoyed about that, going from an OC to a head coach?
Well, it's cool the collaboration, because I'm getting the feel of also, like, I'm seeing it's helping me as an offensive play caller too, right? Like, I'm seeing, like, I've purposely stayed out of the offensive meetings right now so they can be critical of the groom that we need for growth, right? It's one thing, and now I go in there and I'm like, that play call was terrible. You know, would they have said that if I was in there? They would, but to an extent. And so I've been sitting in the defensive meetings really trying to get a feel of how we do things, what puts them in stress, because it helps me, because a lot of people are going to be studying probably a lot of the top defenses, and there's going to be elements that we're going to do. And so making sure that we're doing that next year. And then also them using me as a resource of like, hey, what would you be thinking in here as we kind of build it? And so that's been unique from that. But I've never sat in the defensive meetings as much as I am right now. I want to be able to speak the language to our guys. I want to be able to coach them and talk to them, and not just, hey, when game's on the line, you know, if Jim's calling a defense, I want to at least know what he's calling, you know. And so I know that seems little, but that is big.
Hey, Joe, when you use that symbolism of it's year
Sorry.
one, you know, how do you square that with the expectations that come with this team that it is most definitely not year one?
Yeah, and when I say year one, it's I understand it's year one where we're not coming in with a rebuild. You know what I mean? It's not like hey, let's reset. It's more of it's a year one in a sense of our day-to-day is not going to be the same just because how we did things before isn't going to be how we're doing it. It's not, and I mean this in complete respect, it's not just Sean McDermott out, Joe Brady in, and we're just business as usual, right? And so all that means is that a lot of times, and whether they were thinking or not, I'm sure there were some people in the building that was like, oh, we know Joe gets the job, I'm saying downstairs, business, whatever it is, well, at least we know what we're expecting. And it's like, look, that's not the case. There is going to be differences and changes in daily schedule, planning, all of that stuff. And so when I say year one, it's more of a mindset. I don't want people to be like, well, we do it like this or we do it like that. It's like, no, we've never done it from that standpoint. Now, obviously, I know the players have been a part of it, but there's a lot of changes is kind of what I mean.
Do you
Joe,
feel
how
like
is Michael Hoyt coming? How's Michael Hoyt coming along?
Hoyt, he's in there every single day, right? And look, we missed him last year, right? Like it was, you know, obviously early in the season when he was out there, but he's such an exciting chess piece. Look, I played him against him in the Rams. He was a pain in the ass everywhere. He was trying to figure out where he was, and so that's I know that's something that, you know, once he gets healthy, man, it'll be exciting to be able to find ways to use him.
Nose tackle, it doesn't look like you've got a traditional nose tackle on the roster right now. Beyond 6'7" might not be that guy. If that's the case, how vital is it going to be that you've got to get a true nose tackle, whether it's free agency or the draft?
I mean, we do have nose tackles on our roster that honestly fit the prototype that we have. But the big thing that if we can have flexibility across the defensive line is of having guys that can play the nose and play a 4-eye, play outside and be able to move inside. Like we want flexibility in with what we're doing, because then it makes it a little tougher on them knowing exactly where our guys are going to be.
If you could, who's in the building? Is it Carter, that guy, or who are you talking about here?
That's for you guys to find out, and excited to go. But that's all in the process that we're using with the draft and free agency. That I'm not going to use that to a disadvantage for us. But I'm excited about a lot of pieces that we got.